All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our virtual training on Google Gemini and Google Workspace. My name is Alexandra Silvestri, and I am an IT systems trainer here at the Michaels organization. Aside from Google Workspace overview trainings, I also provide trainings on several non Google Workspace applications and current IT hot topics such as the use of artificial intelligence and cybersecurity awareness trainings. At the end of this training, I will include my contact information for you to reach out to me if you have any ideas for further training needs for you and your teammates. I'm more than happy to personalize those trainings to the needs of your team. I'm excited to spend the next 90 minutes with you exploring how Google Gemini can empower your daily work within the Google applications that we already use. So let's get started. Understanding Google Gemini in our work. Let's begin by exploring what Google Gemini means for our team. Consider Gemini as your smart assistant. It's seamlessly integrated within our Google Workspace tools such as Docs, Slides, Sheets, Drives, and Gmail. Its purpose is to assist you in generating ideas, drafting content, summarizing information, and overall just simplifying your tasks. So let's define generative AI and how that's different from the broader AI. So, generative AI is a specialized branch of AI that focuses on creating new, original content that really is similar to human generated content. Instead of just analyzing and predicting um, outputs based on patterns, generative AI has really a mind of its own and it's able to create things for you based on what they've learned from the internet and from humans. So it's really a more creative use of AI than the broad standard AI that we've seen in the past. Today, our main objectives are to understand where and how to access Gemini's capabilities within Google Docs, Slides, Sheets, and Gmail, to learn practical strategies to enhance your productivity, to explore the different features within the Google Gemini application, and to discuss best practices for effective and responsible use. How will we be interacting with Gemini today? Well, it's important to note that Gemini is integrated into our Google Workspace, but there's also a separate Gemini application. So our organization's Google Workplace administrators has set up Gemini to function directly with each of our apps. This means we won't be using the standalone Gemini application with external enhancements. Instead, we're going to be focusing primarily on how it integrates into our Google Workspace. This approach ensures the maximum security and alignment for our internal policies, meaning that the Google app, for a lot of individuals who use it for their personal use, if they use like the at sign, they're able to integrate that into their docs or their slides or their Gmail. Ours, on the other hand, you have to go into those individual applications in order to use the Gemini features that are embedded within our workspace. However, I will be showing you some cool things that you can do with the standalone Google Gemini application that doesn't include those external enhancements. And I'll explain all that as we move along. So we're going to dive into the core concept of Gemini as an integrated assistant. So its intelligence is embedded when you need it most. You'll typically find prompts or suggestions to help you write and to organize directly within each application's interface. And the first thing that we're going to focus on is Google Docs. And this is where Gemini can be incredibly powerful for content creation. All right, so here is my screen, and this is how I access Google Docs within Gemini. So I open up a blank document, and there's some pre-populated prompts for me. I can generate a document. I can use Help Me Write. There's also some templates that I can use that are pre-made for me. And these are some of the templates that are pre-made for us. I can ask it to give me a little more information. And it can give me summaries of meeting notes. I can create tasks in there. It can also create communication documents for us, which I appreciate. And if you're a coder, which I'm not, but if you're a coder, it can also code uh, information for you. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it to create a new document for me. And I'm going to ask it to help me generate an announcement, encouraging teammates to use the new Notebook LM application that's becoming available on Google Workspace. And there it is. It is thinking and thinking and thinking. And this is what it came up with. So here, based on the prompts that I gave it, it's letting individuals know that on June 2nd, Notebook LM is going to be launched. I can replace that image if I'm unhappy with it. I can reposition that image, if I want more of their heads or if I want more of their bodies. I can add alternate text or I can delete that image if I'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and create a second tab, and I'm going to ask Gemini to help me brainstorm. Okay, I didn't even get to type what I wanted it to brainstorm. So when I scroll up here, I'm going to edit that text, and I'm going to ask Gemini to help me brainstorm a list of ideas that teammates at the Michaels organization can use Notebook LM for. Sometimes we get these apps and we don't know what we can use them for, and so I want to know what I can use that for. And here it tells me all the ways that I can use or that we can use Notebook LM. I can have it retry if I don't like the output, but it seems pretty legit. So I went ahead and I inserted what it gave me onto a Google Doc sheet, and that's tab number 2. Now I want to know which document it referenced, and it's pointing to tab 1. So tab 2 is just a summary of tab 1. Now let's create another tab, and I want to ask Notebook LM to create a flowchart for a visual representation on how you can use Notebook LM. Okay, well, I wanted a visual representation, but there are some things that Gemini cannot do. And flowcharts is one of the things that Gemini cannot do. And so it gives me a written way of what I can use with a flowchart, but it doesn't give me the image that I wanted. So I'm going to go ahead and create an image for tab 2. I can generate an image to go on that specific page, or I can do a cover image. And I want to create an image of the Notebook LM logo. And here it interpreted that as create Notebook LM logos. I wasn't specific enough. That is not the Google Notebook LM logo. But Gemini was like, well, player, you gave me a prompt and I'm going to work with what I have. And so those are the 4 images that it gave me. I can ask Gemini to provide me with a summary of the content. So it's giving me the summary for tab 1 and tab 2. And here are those images. I can ask it to refine the document for me using an informal tone. And here it has given me the same information that is in this document, but in bullet points in a more casual style that I can insert if I would like. And when I look at the sources, it tells me that is tab 1. So now let's create tab 4. And I am going to create a thank you letter to the presenters, our Worcester partners that are going to be presenting how to use Notebook LM. So I'm creating this email here. Thank you for your thorough Notebook LM presentation to the teammates of the Michaels organization. We greatly appreciate your knowledge and your ability to help us think of ways we use the new tool. Please let me know when we can have a copy of the training recording to share with those who participated. Sometimes it's helpful to have the reminder when trying to use a new application on our own. Wishing you a wonderful rest of your week, and I look forward to working with you again, partnering with you again in the future. All right, and so kind regards, and there's my name. And now I want to refine the selected text. And just like in Gmail, I can have it rephrase, shorten, make it more formal, more casual, summarize, or bulletize the text. I can also go up here and click on that A, and I can have it proofread it for me and let me know if there's any spelling, grammatical, wording errors, sentence splits, or if I change voices. So active voice is the voice that I want. But it says that everything is fine. I even changed to grammar, and apparently my grammar is on point. So I'm going to go ahead and refine that text and make it more formal. Let's see what it comes up with. And it makes me sound super fancy. Esteemed Worcester partners. Yeah, I guess that email's okay. But it's a little weird. I'm going to hit retry there. I'm going to make it a little more casual because they're crazy. And this is what it gave me. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that. It can generate delete the ones that I created. Prompt Gemini to draft email reports, training, I'll be able to send this out. And so much more. I can rename my tabs. Ask Gemini or as you can see, Gemini's renaming it for me. You with a prompt. I don't even have to type. You can refine just hit rename and it gave it so you can highlight text that you want to improve. I'm not typing any of this. To use Gemini to rewrite phrases, to shorten, elaborate, or summarize 50 characters. Okay. So I guess the document or change the tone. So you can have Gemini and in tab 1 give you here, outputs that are formal or casual. This is helpful for enhancing like clarity, well. Conciseness. Gemini came up with the title or adapting the style. And so that's how we can use to be more Gemini. Gemini can go ahead and give you a document in Google Docs, there's a lot that Gemini can tone. If you want it to be playful, it can go ahead and generate something that's more playful. It can summarize and extract information. So Gemini can quickly provide a summary for your entire document or a specific highlighted section. You can also ask it questions about the document's content to extract key information. It can also create images and visuals. So beyond text, Gemini can also generate images directly within Google Docs based on the prompts that you give it. And we're going to be talking more about prompts as this presentation continues, because what you input into Gemini is the output that you get. And the more concise you are and the more details that you provide Gemini, the better the outcome of what it produces will be. And Gemini within slides is really good for kickstarting presentations and refining your content. So if ever you have a presentation and someone says, I need you to create a few slides for a visual representation of your presentation, you can do that with Gemini without even having to hurt your brain thinking about how are you going to make a visual presentation for those. And let's learn more about that. So going into slides, you're going to see a few templates here that you can choose from. These are pre-made presentations for you to populate information into for your presentations. But I want to start out by showing you on a blank slide. So you can access Gemini by going on top there and asking it to create or to pitch an idea, to congratulate your teams. And you can also ask Gemini what it can do for you within this app. And here Gemini tells you that it can generate images, it can generate new slides, it summarizes the presentation, it can write or rewrite content. And it also gives you resources with links that you can log on to learn more information at your own pace. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Gemini to create a title slide on cybersecurity in the workplace. The slide will be used during a cybersecurity training at the Michaels organization. Let's add some images. Please provide an image that represents cybersecurity awareness. Sounds like a good prompt to me. Let's see what it comes up with. And here is a slide that Gemini in like nanoseconds created for me called Secure Workplace, Aware Minds. And it gives me bullet points on a slide of what we're going to be going over. If I like it, I can insert it, which I'm going to do. I can also change the image by uploading an image from a computer, from your drive, and I can also ask it to generate an image. And I'm going to go ahead and ask Gemini to create an image on cybersecurity, if I can spell that right, on cybersecurity threat in the workforce. I can pick a style. So if I want it to be more cartoony, if I want it to be like a photograph, it can do all that for me. So feeling lucky, it just gives you like a random style. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit create. And these are the 4 images that Google Gemini has created for me based on the prompt that I inserted. And so I can go ahead. I don't know which one I want to pick. They all look kind of good. I guess this one's a little less scary than the rest. And I'm going to go ahead and insert that photograph into my slide. And so you can also pick the size and shape, whether you want it to be square or tall. So now I want to create a second slide. The one thing about Gemini within slides is that it can only create one slide at a time. It can't create slides for an entire presentation. You have to take it one slide at a time. So I just asked it to create another slide talking about phishing, which is another aspect of cybersecurity. And this is what it gave me. So that's slide 1, and this is now slide 2. And I kind of like the title, and the picture is not bad, I have to say. I do want it to help me create speaker notes for this presentation. And I didn't give it any information, any new information. Gemini is really smart and picking up the conversation that you've had with it so far. So I didn't have to say create speaker notes for cybersecurity awareness threats. It just has been working off of the prompts that I've already created. And so I like these speaker notes. I'm going to go ahead and insert it there. And then when I go to the presenter's view, which is the view that I like to see my presentations when I'm giving a training, I'm going to hit start slideshow there. And then you can see my notes that are there for me to present to those that I'm showing this training to. So now I want to go ahead and finish up this presentation by asking it to create another slide for me. And I wanted to create a slide on deepfakes and the rise of AI generated cybersecurity threats, which let me tell you, there's a lot of those. It's scary. And let's see what Gemini comes up with. Okay, so this is what it gave me. I didn't ask it for an image, so that's my bad. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that, but then I'm going to ask it to create an image on this slide. So add an image of AI on this slide. And these are the 4 pictures that it provides me with. And I kind of like that one. So I went ahead and inserted it. And now I want to slide on ransomware. Pay or perish. Very dramatic, but I like it. And create a final slide summarizing this presentation. So I wanted to summarize the contents of the entire presentation. And this is the final slide that it gave me. So these 4 points that are here are supposed to summarize what the entire presentation is about. I don't know if I like it, so I'm asking Gemini to recreate that slide for me. And here we go. I like this one better. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that. But I want the image to be a little less cartoony. And so here is my presentation. I don't even have to come up with a title because Gemini just pre-populated it for me. And so when I look into my drives, I can see that the presentation was saved on my drive. So I didn't have to download the presentation. It's already there, integrated within the Google Workspace. And when I ask Drive to summarize that file for me that I just created, this is the summary that it gives me right here on the right-hand side. It tells me which slide has what content in it. And if I ask it for the source, like where are you getting this from? It tells me, it gives me that the source right there is a PowerPoint presentation. And so that's how you can use Gemini within slides. And I downloaded that summary. So now that summary is saved within my docs. So it's a further, it's another way that it integrates within our Google Workspace seamlessly. And where it says sources, if I were to click on this link, it'll go back to my PowerPoint presentation. So to review, with Google Slides, Gemini seamlessly integrates into Google Slides, making AI Assistant as easy as accessing your morning coffee, really. It's AI powered creation. It helps you produce new slides. You can change text to make it more engaging. You can create custom images with just a simple request. You can ask for productivity enhancements, so it helps amplify your workflow. So if you are working with another colleague, you can summarize, draft, you can do it all together within Google Slides. And it gives contextual content crafting. So, like I mentioned before, I didn't have to go ahead and say, create these notes for this specific topic because I was already speaking about cybersecurity in the prompts that I was asking Gemini. It was able to give me speaker notes based on that topic without me having to rewrite it. So, really, Gemini has human like logic to make it easier for you to get content. Now, let's go ahead and go on to the next section of how we can use Gemini. And that's going to be Gemini within Gmail. So here is my inbox, and I can access Gemini by clicking right on the top there. And as with the other app, Gemini has a pre-populated button that says, what can I do within Gmail? And here it gives me a bulletized list of all the things that I can do with Gemini within my email. And it's a very long list. And if I want to learn further, it also provides me with resource links for me to read up on how I can use uh, Gemini in my slides, in my Gmail to really optimize my learning. You can always delete what you put into the Gemini window here by clicking on these three buttons and exiting and clearing your history. So I just asked Gemini to pull up IT learning emails. And I want Gemini to summarize the last email I received from IT Learning. So that's this email right here. And the last email that I received from IT Learning is a response to Alexandra's inquiry about IT training for her team. Perfect. So I didn't even have to open that email. All I had to do was, say summarize the last email from IT Learning. And when I asked for the sources, it's given me all these emails that are within my inbox. So now I'm going to ask Gemini to help me schedule a meeting with IT Learning based on that last email that was sent to me. So I put in that prompt, help me schedule a meeting with IT Learning, and it's telling me that I can't do it. So I am going to put at calendar and click on calendar. And I'm going to ask Gemini again to schedule a meeting with IT Learning. And now Gemini is saying, okay, I can do that, but when do you want it for? It wants me to be more specific, again, with the prompts. The more details we give it, the better it is at doing what we're asking it to do. So I want it to schedule for tomorrow at 2 p.m. And here it gave me an event for 2 p.m. that's already on my calendar. I don't think I need a full hour for that meeting, but I do think I need at least 45 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and put that for 45 minutes on my calendar. It didn't add the guest, although it did create that calendar invite for me. So I went ahead and added IT Learning to that. It is going to be a Google meeting, so that's already there, and I hit save. And now hopefully IT Learning will receive that calendar invitation. And I was able to do all that without having to exit Gmail. I can also compose emails with Gemini using Help Me Write. So I can, when you open up a new email, you see the Help Me Write feature that's there. Or you can use that pen and star button at the bottom. That's also Help Me Write. So I can type in what I want Gemini to help me create. And because I sent that email invite to IT Learning, I want to make sure that I also follow up with an email. So help me write a follow up email to IT Learning, letting them know that I sent them a calendar invite for tomorrow, Wednesday at 2 o'clock p.m. The meeting will be held via Google Meets and will last 45 minutes. Okay. The meeting, let's see, during the meeting, we will discuss the training needs of my teammates. So I went ahead, and this is what Gemini created for me. It's pretty basic. It's pretty much what I typed in. So I am happy I put in that information, but I kind of wanted to recreate that email for me. Let's see what it can do. So it recreated the email, but it pretty much looks the same as I could have just written this. Like the prompt had all that information. So let's go ahead and refine that. And I'm going to ask Gemini to formalize that invite to make it sound a little more professional. And it wasn't informal before, so I'm not really impressed with what it's doing now. So I'm going to ask it to elaborate to make the email a little longer. And now, reading this email, I think I'm happy with this output. It just gives a little more information. It gives a little more fluff or meat and potatoes to that email. And I'm happy with that. I can also ask it to shorten it, and short is kind of sad. It's like, hey, okay, here's this email that I'm sending you. So I'm going to go back to elaborate, and I am going to insert that message. I'm going to send that to IT Learning, and I'm going to type in the subject in there. And let me see, calendar invite follow up. Yeah, good enough. And I'm going to go ahead and send that to IT Learning. So as you can see, I don't have to do a lot of thinking. It created a calendar note for me. It created an email for me. But I want to see if it's in my Google Calendar. So there it is, IT Learning. It put it on my Google Calendar without me having to leave my Gmail. And so that's pretty awesome. Now I'm going to clear my history one more time by clicking on those three buttons. And I'm going to use the @ sign, as you see there. And when I do that, it pulls up files that are in my drive. And it also shows me people that I've interacted with. So if you put in that @ sign there, you can pull files or email people directly that you have interactions with on a regular basis. So I picked this document, and I want to share this document with Leanna, but I don't want to have to go into my drives and do that. And so I am sharing this document with Leanna, and Google Gemini is going to share that with her right through my drive. But I want to insert it into an email as well. So I hit the insert button right there, and Gemini put in that email, and I'm going to go ahead and type in the subject line, and the email has been created. So again, I didn't have to leave Gmail to be able to do some of the things that I can do throughout the workspace. Now I want to ask Gemini to go through my emails and to let me know when is the next Google Workspace training. And it tells me that the next training is going to be on, well, the last training was on May 21st, and that the following one is going to be on June 4th. It gives me the links to those trainings for registration, and it gives me the source, which is the email that's listed under sources. But now I want Google Gemini in Gmail to email my supervisor, DJ, inviting her for the next Google Workspace training. And here, Gemini has created this email for me. I didn't have to give it the date that the next training is going to be, or the time, or any other information. It scoured my inbox and it created that email providing the information that's in my inbox. And so there are many ways that you can use Gemini within your Gmail. You can have it access Help Me Write, which is that sparkle icon, and it can help you compose a new email or reply to an existent email. It can help you draft and reply to emails effectively. It can just generate new email drafts for you, and the replies are content aware. Again, Gemini is very smart. It can refine your text, highlighting existing text to rephrase, to shorten, to elaborate, or to adjust the tone. And it can leverage AI for productivity. So, as you can see, I was able to do all of that in less than 10 minutes. And so, if you're able to use Gemini and leverage it within Gmail, you can get a lot done. Things that would take you an hour, 15 minutes can now be done in a matter of seconds. Now let's move into Gemini within Sheets. Now I am not a big Sheets user, but let's explore Sheets together and see what it can do for us. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my Sheets. And I'm going to create a blank sheet. Again, I can access Gemini by clicking on that star icon at the top. And I'm going to ask Gemini what it can do for me within Sheets. And now Gemini gives me a whole host of things that it can do. It can create tables and formulas. The formula part's pretty new. It can generate data analysis and insights. It can build charts and graphs. It can summarize my files. And there again, it lists those resources. Perfect. So I'm going to clear my history, and it always asks me if I'm sure. I'm sure. I find that when it's clear, I'm not as confused. So I'm going to have it create a table for the IT department on IT systems trainings. I'm going to ask it to include title of the training, a description of the training, tasks and subtasks for the development of these trainings. And let's see if I gave enough information for Gemini to provide me with a table. And so this is the table that Gemini created for me. So it has the training title, the description, the tasks, the subtasks, the status, and the start date, which I don't think I asked it for, but it went ahead and made it for me because I think Gemini is so smart that it can read my mind. But I kind of want a little more information to go into this table. And so I'm going to go ahead and ask it to give me a little more. So it should run between the dates of July 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2025, because the year's already over. Like, I can't have it starting right at June. That's like tomorrow. I'm going to add a name column for who will be assigned these tasks. And also the status column is great here, but I wanted to show progress of where we are with these trainings creations. So I wanted to have started, in progress, or complete, and not just a checkbox. And so here is the table that Gemini created for me based on the information that I gave it. And so here are the training titles, what the trainings are going to be about, what are the tasks that I have to create, and the subtasks, who I'm going to assign it to, and started, in progress, or completed, just like I asked. And so I'm pretty happy with this table. And I want to share it with my teammates, but first I have to name it something. So I'm going to name it IT Learning Calendar Creation for 2025. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. And this is who has access. I'm going to give access to Alexandra, and she is going to be an editor just like I am. And now she has access to this table and can help edit it along with me. Now, when I go into my drives, I can see that this table is in my drives as well, which is pretty cool. And when I click on that document and I ask Gemini to summarize that file, it summarized the file for me, that specific file. So it, training titles, descriptions, tasks, and subtasks, who it's assigned to, the status, and the start dates. And one of the pre-populated prompts from Gemini is, what is the training title and assigned person for the task? And it tells me who's assigned the task with a start date of 9/1. And I asked it who's assigned to advanced network securities, which is the training, and it tells me who was assigned that task. So now I'm going to go and open up a new document. It's my post survey that I get from individuals that participated in the Google Workspace Overview training. So I uploaded that document onto Sheets, and I am asking it to summarize it for me. And so it's summarizing that document. So Gemini can read the document and then interpret what the document is, just as if it was a human reading that chart and interpreting it. When I click on sources, it tells me where the source is. And it gives me pre-populated prompts of what I may like to do with this table. So based on what I asked it, which is, give me the familiarity of people who are interested, who have used this training, it gave me a 0.38% of those that identified themselves as beginners. So I want to generate a chart using this data. And so I asked Gemini to generate a chart for me. And it's telling me here, okay, but what kind of chart do you want it to be? So it's telling me that it doesn't have enough information to give me a chart. So I'm going to ask it to provide me with a bar chart showing the level of familiarity with Google Workspace. And so it is generating a chart based on the information that is on this table. And when I preview it, I can see that it created a chart for me. So there were 18 individuals that participated in my training so far, and 8 plus 7 is 15. And then 3 more is 18. Okay, perfect. So now I see that it did use all the information that is on my table here. I mean, I have to check because yes, Gemini is great, but we all make mistakes, and generative AI can also make mistakes. So now it's asking me if I would like to explore the relationship between the familiarity level and other responses. And I actually do. So I want to explore the relationship between the familiarity with Google Workspace and the relevance of the content presented. So I want it to give me this information in comparison to this information here. And so it gave me a chart to show me the relationship between these two. And then it also provided me with a summary. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that chart and bring it further down. And as I can see, those that are advanced said that information was still very relevant for them. Those that were beginners had a higher relevance rate, and those that were intermediate also thought that the training was relevant or somewhat relevant. So I want to open a new spreadsheet here. Let's see what else Gemini can do for me. And I'm going to go ahead and do the @ sign instead of having to upload a document or go into my drives. And within Sheets, Gemini is able to pull information that is in my drive. So I am going to San Diego to train some folks in a few weeks. And so I created a table of possible hotels. The name of the hotel, how far it is from the training location, and types of rooms. So based on that information, I want to ask Gemini which hotel is closest to the location where I'm training individuals. And I also want an average of the nightly rate. And I'm going to go ahead and clear that history. All right, it's giving me again what it can do with this table. I wanted to sort my table by nightly rates from the highest to the lowest price. All right, and then it's telling me that it's going to sort that out for me. And here we are. Now it's from highest to lowest. And then it tells me the formula that it used as well. Perfect. Now, what else do I want to know about this chart? All right, so I see that aside from rates, there really isn't any differentiation. So I'm going to go ahead and change free parking on one of the listings just to see what Gemini can do. And so I'm going to go ahead and ask Gemini to provide a conditional formatting for hotels without parking. And when I hit apply there, here is the format. The format is that it's highlighted the hotel that has no parking. But now I want to add another rule. I want to know which hotels are in Chula Vista. And I want it to highlight that in yellow. And Gemini is able to read which hotels are in Chula Vista. And it highlighted those hotels in yellow. And there's so much more that I can do. I can change the colors that I want. I could add an additional rule if I want. Let's see if I can create a pivot table for this. And it says, sure, I can do that. But what information is it that you're looking for? So again, Gemini is telling me I can do whatever you want, but I need you to give me a little more information. And I don't know what it wants right now, but let's see what I can come up with. Let's create a pivot table that highlights the overall cost of the rates in comparison to free parking. I don't know if that makes sense. Gemini will tell me if that makes sense. So it did something. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and apply that. And it created a new tab for me, tab 2. And I don't know what this means, but it did tell me that one hotel does not have parking, and that whether that hotel has parking or not, there is no price differentiation between them. There's not an extra cost for parking associated with hotels. It's all the same. All right. So to summarize, Gemini in Sheets generates formula just using natural language. It can understand what you're asking it, and it can understand what it's reading on your tables or your charts. It can gain quick data insights, so I can ask it direct questions about my spreadsheets, and it immediately gives me answers and also guides me to possible calculations that I may want. It summarizes and explains the data for me. It does it quickly and articulately, and it can assess with basic data organization, just like I asked it to sort my hotels from the most expensive to the cheapest price. Now let's go on to the drive. What can Gemini do within our Google Drive? All right, so here I am in my drive, and I can access Gemini by clicking on Ask Gemini there. Or I can go up here and ask Gemini as well by clicking on that star logo. I can do some of the prompts that are there that are pre-populated for me. And here I'm going to ask, what can Gemini do for me within Drive? And it can summarize long documents, it can synthesize information, and it can create new files and folders. So I'm going to go ahead and enter a prompt. Let's see. In which folder is the IT newsletter located? And Gemini is letting me know that my IT newsletter is located on that drive that it highlighted there. And when I click on that link, it brings me to my drive that has the newsletters um, for 2020. I wasn't specific enough. I didn't tell Gemini what year, but it gave me something. Now I'm going to go into my drives, and I'm going to ask Gemini to summarize the files located in the newsletter materials and assets folder. And it's thinking and it's thinking. And here it gives me a summary of the different types of files that are located in that folder and what those files are about. So I don't have to go into a specific folder to know what files are in it. Gemini can give me a summary. So cool. All right, so if I click on that folder, I can also ask for a summary by clicking at the top there. And it tells me what the 2 PDF documents that are in there. And then it gives me suggestions, like what are the 2 main topics of a specific folder and what advice is given in a specific document. So Gemini is reading all of my materials. I'm going to go ahead and clear that history. And I want to move on to a shared drive. So 2025 DEI week. What's in that folder? All right, now Gemini just told me that these are the different files located within that folder, which is awesome. I didn't even have to click on it and open that folder to know what's in there. I can clear the data by going on that clear source data there. And now I'm going to go back into my drive. I'm going to open up Gemini. And I can add sources that are located in my drive by clicking on that add sources. So here I'm going to go and open up that post-training survey that we used in Sheets. And I'm going to ask Gemini how many participants have completed the survey. Now I know it's 18 because we counted it together, but let's see if Gemini knows. And it's letting me know that there's 18 participants that have completed the survey. So that's wonderful. I want to ask it more information about it. What are some of the specific workspace topics that these participants want to learn more about? And Gemini is reading that document and letting me know that these are the topics. So I'm going to go ahead and open up another document. Okay, let's go back to those hotels in San Diego. Which hotel is the most expensive? And Gemini is being nosy and reading through my stuff and is letting me know which hotel is the most expensive. But now I want to know which hotel is closest to the location driving. And it's letting me know that based on the data that it's scouring, that hotel is a 9-minute drive from where I have to train individuals. I can also ask Gemini within Drives to create a Google document for me without having to open up Google Docs. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it to create a Google document entitled Summer 2025 IT Systems Training. And there you go. It created that document for you and it added it to my drive. So when I look at my drive, there it is. I can see that it created that document for me. But now I want to create a folder. Can I do that? Haha. Named Alexandra Silvestri's list of favorite things. And it created a folder for me and it's located in my drive. So as you can see, within Drive, Gemini can summarize documents in folders. It can quickly get the main points from individual documents that are PDF, docs, or sheets and provide me with a summary. It can retrieve specific information, just like I asked it for the most expensive hotel or how many individuals completed a survey. It can synthesize information across multiple files, so it can read and compare content from several different documents selected. So let's say you're part of a committee and there's been notes that you've been taking, but there's been some conflicting information. You can really have Gemini read through that and let you know what some of the themes are and the differences between those minutes and who said what and when. And it can create basic files and folders. So it can generate new blank Google Docs, sheets, or create new folders directly into my drive seamlessly. Again, something that would take me a little longer. I would have to open up an individual document and sort through information. I'm able to do in just seconds or minutes by asking Gemini some prompts. We're going to move on and we're going to discuss the Gemini app. So, the Gemini app is a standalone app that you can use, but because our organization has some of the privileges locked down for data breaches and safety, we can't integrate the standalone app to our Google Workspace. But that doesn't mean that you cannot use the Google app. And I'm going to show you ways that you can use the Google app without any of those enhancements or integration into our Google Workspace. And I am going to start off by opening up Gemini here. And here is the website that you can also type in, gemini.google.com, to get to Gemini. As you can see, it says, welcome, Michael's organization. I could create a new chat or I can do deep research. So I want to also show you that there's different models that you can use. We can use 2.5 Pro for reasoning, math, and coding, or we can use the 2.5 Flash model. In this presentation, we're going to be focusing primarily on 2.5 Flash. Pro is used more for mathematics or for coding, but what I want to do today is going to be best suited in 2.5 Flash. Flash means that you get the information in a faster time than if you were to do the Pro. I can upload files to the Gemini app and I can import code. But today I want to do some deep research. And I'm going to ask Gemini to tell me more about the Michaels organization. Let's see what Gemini can come up with. And this takes some time. So it's giving me the reasoning, what it's doing. And then I am going to go ahead and start that research. I can also edit the plan. So if I want something that's a little more concise, or if I wanted to use specific websites, I can go ahead and ask it to do so. So Gemini gives you the reasoning, it gives you the area of focus, and it gives you the website that is scouring. But because that's going to take a few minutes, I'm going to go ahead and start a new prompt. I'm going to ask Gemini to create a new training outlining focusing on how the Michaels organization teammates can leverage and maximize the use of Notebook LM, which is the new application that we're getting on June 2nd. And so here, Notebook LM. Okay, perfect. This is my outline that it gave me. And it opens it up in Canvas. And Canvas is a separate window that's here. What Canvas lets you do, it lets you build upon what you have already asked Gemini to do for you. You can always close out Canvas if you don't want to build on anything by clicking this X here and just using this prompt portion. So perfect. It's going on ahead and it is doing that for me. Now let's go back. Okay, let's see. So let's go back to the other tab where I asked it to give me information about the Michaels organization. I can have it create a website, a quiz. All right. So it's going to create a quiz. I don't know what that's going to look like. Okay. And the quiz is going to be based on the information that it gave me on the Michaels organization. So it's supposed to be a 10-question quiz, and we're only on question 6. So I'm going to go back to my other tab, and I'm going to, oh, it made audio file for me. So that was the overview, the audio overview that it created, and it made it sound like a real podcast. Now let's talk about gems. You can create a
Welcome
gem
to the deep
within
dive.
Gemini.
You send us the information,
What a gem
the step
is,
you're trying to get
it's
through, and we pull out
a
the really
feature
crucial
where you can
insights.
Yeah,
build
the things that
upon it
actually
by giving
matter.
it
Think of it like
information. So
your
I'm going to
shortcut
ask this
to
Gemini
being
to be
really
the
well
Michaels
informed, but without drowning in
organization's
data. Hopefully, you get those
mastermind.
aha
It's
moments.
going to have
Exactly.
all
You
the
give us the
information about
sources, we
Michaels,
dive
and
in,
I'm going to
find the
let it know
core
that I'm the
ideas,
systems
and then
trainer,
hand them back to
and
you,
I want
in
to
a way that's
create
clear and something you can
trainings
actually use right away.
So
for
today we're digging into Notebook
individuals in the
LM.
Michaels
The
organization.
sources we have are
So this is the
training
instructions
materials
that I
from the
gave
Michaels
it,
organization.
and
Right.
Now, look,
Gemini said, nope, that was not enough information. This is what I think you're going to want to know. And so it created rules for some of the things that I'm looking for. It's talking about how it's going to frame the trainings that I created. And it's asking me what tone I want the trainings to be conducted in. And now it's asking me, there it is. So I went ahead and saved that. And that is the new gem that's here on the side. And I want to, um, because I want it to be smart in what Michael's organization is, I'm going to go ahead and export the deep research that I did on the Michael's organization and create it, make that a doc. And I made the title for me. So that's perfect. I didn't even have to think of a title. I'm going to go ahead and put it in a specific folder within my drive. And I'm going to download that file. And then I'm going to go back to that gem and I'm going to upload the file that I downloaded. And so that file is part of the knowledge bank. So now going back to that gem, I want to create a training on how to use Google Workspace. And so this gem, based on the information that I gave it, is letting me know the sources that it's using and that it's more than happy to create a training for me. But it has some questions for me. I'm not being specific enough. It's asking me, where do you want to start with this training? And I'm going to start off with core business areas based on the prompts that it gave me. And now it's saying, okay, great. You want to know more, but look at the core business areas that are here. Which one do you want to focus on? And so Gemini really pushes me to be concise with my prompts. But let's go back to the quiz that I created. I'm going to take this quickly, being conscious of time here. All right, so this is some of the questions. Of course, I got that wrong. Don't judge me. All right. And now these questions were created based on the deep research that we did and the information that it scoured from the internet. So I got a 4 out of 10, and it tells me how many I got right, how many I got wrong. And then I can make a new quiz if I'd like. I'm going to go ahead and make a new quiz. And so it created more questions for me. Now, this is a really helpful tool if you're taking, let's say, a course and you want to upload information about that course within a Google Gem um, and do like deep research, for instance. And then with the information that you've given it and the information that it has gathered by scouring the internet, it can create quizzes for you to help you sharpen your skills. So if you have, like, let's say, a certification coming up and you want to be able to test your skills without having to pay for a certification prep course, you can add a lot of the information that you find on the internet and that has been given to you either on in a book or some notes. You can upload that information, and Gemini is smart enough to create that information for you. So let's summarize what we learned of what the Gemini app can do for us. The Gemini app can help you brainstorm ideas for projects, creative writing, or essays. It quickly summarizes complex topics or long pieces of text that you either paste into the chat or that you upload. It can generate first drafts of emails, of blog posts, of outlines, poems, and so much more. If you can think it, Gemini can create it for you, not only within the workspace that we use it at, but also as a standalone application. And it can create gems within the web interface. So gems allows you to save custom instructions for Gemini, setting a specific persona, tone, or set of rules for future interactions. And one of the things that I like about Gemini, whether it's on the standalone app or in our workspace, is that it really tells me, like, listen, you're not being specific enough. I'm more than happy to help, but I need you to be a little more specific before I can help you. And so I really do appreciate that. Now, one of the things that's important to understand about Gemini within our workspace in comparison to Gemini, the application alone, aside from not being able to pull some of the information that's in our drive or our documents, the reason why we don't have those enhancements available is for safety reasons. Using the Gemini within each individual app is using it in the method that the Michaels organization wants you to use it. Why? Because that information lives within the drive, which is owned by the organization. That means that our data is more secure, that there's not going to be any hackers that can come in and take that information, and that Gemini is not using that information to learn more about how to interact with humans, as opposed to the standalone app, which is why we don't have those integrations. When you use the standalone app, it doesn't just scour the internet. It also uses the way that you're asking questions, the tone that you're using, and the responses that it's given to learn more. And so that becomes a threat to our personal information, whether it's the Michael's information or your personal information or the information of our partners and our vendors. And so it's important to note that if you're using sensitive data that you use it specifically within the application that you want to use it in. So if you're, pulling a report and it uses Excel, that you make that into a sheet and put that on your drive. And that if you're going to ask Gemini to synthesize the information, that you do it within that specific sheets application, and that you don't put that sheet, that you don't upload it into the standalone application of Gemini. And it's just a safety thing. Um, yes, AI is moving quickly. And as I told you, generative AI is learning from us how to be more human, how to respond a little more human. And so there's updates that happen to Gemini on a consistent basis. This presentation that I'm showing you today, I won't be able to show the same presentation in 2 months because it literally changes every single 6 weeks. It's learning more, it's becoming more intelligent. And so we don't necessarily need to be afraid of AI because it's going to take our jobs. If anything, it's helping us be more efficient with our time so that we can be more creative within our work spheres. But it is scary to think of what it can do with our data if we don't use it responsibly. I am going to go ahead and share my contact information. Again, if you have any trainings that you would like me to make for your teams, whether it's about a Google application that you want them to know more about, or
If you have any
it's a
questions, please
training
feel free
about
to send
any
me an
hot
email.
topic in IT,
And I look forward
I'm
to
more than
learning with you in the
happy to
future.
do that. So
Have a
let me
great
go
rest of your
ahead
day.
and share my screen.